sewage, pipes. There's just astronomical amount of money that goes out, and there has to be conservative leadership. Whether the conservative idea is, why does it always have to be a Republican idea to be conservative, fiscally responsible and making sure that our water supply is safe, making sure our bridges are safe, our infrastructure. Forget about the shovel-ready jobs that never materialized, there was none available. Well, they asked for $1 billion. And they kicked off Solyndra like it was going to be some kind of big deal. Remember the solar power company? Solyndra was going to change the world, and everybody was going to have solar power in their houses and on their vehicles, and then it went bankrupt after putting all that money. And that was tax dollars. That was your tax dollars. And it went boom and went bust. This is a very interesting study. I do a lot of research, folks, and this is where I find these stories here. And this has to do with stress for young children. And there's a name for it. There's a number of kids at risk for toxic stress damage. You're saying, what is that? Well, there's research that's suggesting that persistent stress in your young children can become toxic, which basically doctors are saying that it causes brain challenge, that interferes with learning, and can lead to disease in adulthood. Can lead to disease in adulthood. Did you hear that? It's unknown how many children and adults have been harmed by toxic stress, but data shows that many live in circumstances that experts say put them at risk. More than 1 in 4 U.S. kids experience a serious traumatic event by the age of 16, including abuse, neglect, and household or neighborhood violence, according to the National Center for Child Traumatic Stress. More than 1 in 5 children have experienced at least 2 of these traumas and are more likely than others to have school difficulties along with health and behavioral problems, according to a 2014 study found. Nearly half of U.S. children younger than 18 live in families at or near the poverty level, according to U.S. Census data showing that the number of U.S. children in foster care climbed steadily after 2011, reaching nearly 430,000 in 2015. That most recent government data shows that neglect was the reason in nearly 2/3 of cases, with most of the rest due to drug abuse, according to a 2016 government report most recently. And authorities believe that the opioid epidemic has contributed to the trend. And that's a shame. There's a lot of folks out there that are dealing with things by abusing their kids because they're not happy. Life's not going good. And just because you may not beat them psychologically, you can damage your kids for life and then cause even disease into adulthood. Your behaviors, it's a shame, but we bring it on to our kids, and then they have to suffer, which is just unbelievable. Folks, our country needs repair. It's in dire need of repair. And folks, we got to hope the best. We got to work hard. We got to stop being victims here and having that victim mentality that the Obama legacy has left this country. And listen, I'm proud to say, let's make America great again. Donald Trump says that, or people laugh at you when you say that, or if you have a shirt or a bumper sticker left over, don't be ashamed. Don't do it. Accountability, folks, a lot of people don't like to be accountable. Anarchists, people that don't want government. Anarchy seems to prevail with a lot of folks in this country. They're proud to label themselves such. Anti-establishment, anti-corporation. I talk to people from all walks of life, and people subscribe to these things. Oh, it's the corporations. Don't work for them. Don't work for them, but they'd accept the check from them quick, wouldn't they? And it's interesting, they buy the products for the big corporations, don't they? They're not living out in the woods. Dear God. Wake up, America. Little common sense goes a long way. Do you hear about the massive iceberg breaking away from Antarctica? This is a true story. It's a giant Delaware-sized iceberg that scientists have been monitoring for more than 2 years. It's broken off from Antarctica, becoming one of the largest icebergs on record. It's 2,240 square miles long, hanging by a thread for several months, and with the crack growing 16 miles in the last 2 months alone, by July 5th, there was only 3 more miles until it officially separated from the continent. New iceberg made up more than 10% of the ice shelf, and it did not impact sea levels because it was already floating before the break. So scientists will determine if the breakaway section will have significant impact to the rest of Antarctica shelf. Pretty interesting stuff, don't you think? Yeah. Global warming? They say that has something to do with it. But it's interesting, some years there's even more ice. So you can kind of look at some of the NASA findings about all of that. I'm not one of these things to think that it's all a hoax. I think there's some truth to it, but I think it's more that the Earth goes through changes, and you can see that year to year if you look at some of the analysis charts. I think we can do everything we can do and try to work to keep our ozone as clear as we possibly can. But there's planets in our universe that are heating up, too, at the same time. It's not just us. And you can see NASA's own website at nasa.gov. Listen, we're 100% listener supported. We could certainly use your help if you love the show. ForThePeopleShow.com is where you can find us. All the best. May God bless.